Welcome to my thoughts on Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord, Season 1, Episode 3, Chapter 3, Whispers in the Unknown. I believe the episode is rated 12 years and above. Certainly this video will be. There will be spoilers for these episodes and essentially, hypothetically, everything Star Wars leading up to it as well. Another episode I loved. And I am going to briefly start with video recommendations. So, honestly, couldn't decide on just one. So Matt Bernstein, Lee Miller, and Medus One all fairly recently did really solid videos talking about Hassan Piker. And yeah, so onto the episode. Yeah, I think they're doing a really great job, getting things into place. Early on, Devon, she's talking to Maul, and she feels like he points out, you've made up your mind, erase and rewind. And yeah, every so often he'll say or do something and she's like, didn't see that coming. And she was basically biding her time until she could take the lightsaber, but she does choose not to fight him and says that would be foolish. That is very Jedi-like. But before the end of the episode, she does indeed fight him. Because if you think about it, hypothetically, why not cause a distraction and try to run away in the chaos? Maybe just hand the lightsaber back and say that, you'll never help him. These are things that a Jedi would do. Fighting is more Sith-like. So they're doing a really great job of having Devon very much like conflicted between these, different possibilities, and I'm here for it. I think that does bring us to, I don't know, I kind of like the fact that Vario never stops talking. Not to mention the fact that apparently, I forget if we've heard this before, but certainly if we have, I've forgotten all about it, but at least some Mandalorians, because of their warrior culture, they don't say like can it or shut up, they say kill it. And the let's see, I think that does pretty nicely bring us to the cop stuff. So yeah, the I appreciate the way that Two Boots, he's not the first droid where that is the case, but I'm definitely reading him as on the autistic spectrum or something, which I say with love. There are people on that spectrum that I am very fond of. But yeah, this thing of like insisting multiple times on the same thing and pointing out, hey, I actually do like repetitive work with, potentially no reward. And yeah, did need a rest, but once they got it, they're good. He had a power nap. I'm sorry, power down. And the remembered about, remember something important to another person and talks about it at the exact right moment. Yeah. Um, and I guess it's one of those things, I don't know if we need more stories in media where it's like, the parent, like, they want to do well, but they just, they have other responsibilities, so they can't really be there for their kid. Like, I don't know, it kind of feels like oversaturated, but then I guess, I don't know. I mean, I don't watch everything these days. Maybe recently they're not doing quite as much. Like, it's something I really think of for like the 1980s, and like oh, actually, yeah, come to think of it, I guess I think the last time I saw it like as a common thing might have been like the 2000s, early 2000s or something. And let's see, loved seeing Two Boots get to really show what he's capable of. Very like, you understand why they would want a droid like this as a cop. Like, holy crap. And yeah, there is a you know, they're trying to send a message, but the Wi-Fi is down, so they shoot instead. And then, the Two Boots tries to arrest, but that one particular member of Maul's really has their heart set on blowing things up instead. You understand. It's kind of giving like, I just got this thing. I really want to try it out. Just like 2 rockets launched in like, I don't know, 20 seconds or so of running time. Now but yeah, confirms that there is indeed something going on, so they do know that they're barking up the right tree. And of course, Two Boots once again brings up about the Empire, and I don't know how I feel yet about. I'll hold off judgment until I see more. But the thing about, like, do you have a reason to dislike the Empire, or is it because your ex-wife works for them? And so, like, hypothetically, potentially, there's some really interesting ground to cover there. I hope that's what they're doing. I really hope this is not like the exes who hate each other. Yeah. I don't know. Disney Star Wars has been pretty good most of the time about not doing, because, like, once again, there was way too much media like that for a while, where it's like, this ex-wife is just so unreasonable. Have you met an ex-husband? Like, they are absolutely terrible. I'm not speaking from, I don't have an ex-husband, but I know women who have, and yeah, like, it's one of those ridiculous things where, misogyny, like bigotry, brain rot in general, says that, oh, it's okay if the member of the majority does it. If the minority does it, end of the world. And I do not feel fine. And let's see. Yeah. And so Two Boots presses the issue and gets a no from Lawson, then goes to the chief and is demoted in response. And yeah, they have that conversation about, like, I don't know, maybe we should call in the Empire, because, like, Maul is out of control. And I do think they're doing a really good job here showing, like, yeah, how are they going to stop him? Like, they have no, like, yeah, I mean, it's going to be difficult for the Empire as well, but resources, yeah. But they also note, once they get here, they will never leave. And that is sadly very true of fascism. One of the reasons why we should fight it. Obviously, I'm talking about politically. Violence should only ever be the last resort. Now, I think, yeah, I thought it, they did do a good job of, like, just the meat and potatoes of, so he shows up at the game and, declines the better seats and then leaves just as his son is doing really well. Like, this is going to really strain the relationship, obviously. And I feel like that pretty much covers. There's at least one more thing I really wanted to make sure to say. Loved the entire. Now I know why they call him the Shadow Lord. Like, okay, steal his lightsaber, he cuts the power. Maybe he didn't pay the bill. And yeah, just incredibly, tense throughout. And loved that, like, there were parts where you could see a little bit, but a bunch of the time you could genuinely only see her and the lightsaber. Also, and I'm willing to admit, I might not have realized this if I hadn't seen, in like a behind-the-scenes kind of thing on YouTube, but when Maul uses his lightsaber, it actually screams in his voice, which is a really cool idea. And I think that does. I also really appreciate this, so, like, I imagine a lot of young people are watching this. Very important to communicate to them, as this episode, I believe, does well. Even if you have been warned about someone being manipulative, if you are in a certain circumstance, you might find yourself starting to listen to them. Devin was surprised that Maul expressed concern for her. because she has a too black and white idea of what he's, yeah, he does care because he wants to use her as a weapon. It doesn't mean that he's like actually a good person. Now, I think, yeah, and this exploration of like, yeah, Republic fell. She trained, and her, all the Jedi trained for, their entire lives towards this, and now it's just gone. And I think I like that. I think it's called Spy Droid. Like I will admit I would not have picked it up if not for the subtitles. But apparently it said to Vario, "I want to hurt you so bad." Okay, noted. And yeah, Vario, you know, yeah, relays the message, which, of course, like despite that threat near the end, obviously it is indeed a trap for the yeah. And yeah, I was a little surprised that he, like there's the thing about like, I'll tell you exactly what to say, and then I was half expecting there to be like a visible what do they call those, the Star Wars equivalent of like a teleprompter or something on Spybot, but good job memorizing it, Vario. Yeah. Of course, there was that one bit where he did kind of, he got a little bit too into just like, okay, this is exactly what the text that I was given said. And he did accidentally include the part with, sure, here is what a speech that could lure your enemy into a trap might sound like. Let me know if you have any suggestions for tuning it up.